The chamber hung suspended above a blue and violet gas giant, its metallic walls curving like the inside of a great cathedral. Light shimmered through tall crystalline panels, painting reflections that rippled over the polished floor. Every delegate in the Galactic High Council chamber had turned toward the single human stepping through the golden archway. She moved without guards, weapons, or armor, only a calm smile and a cup of steaming tea in her hand. Ambassador Evelyn Carter was 37, tall, with that distinct kind of grace the galaxy mistook for fragility. Her dark hair was pinned neatly, her tailored navy suit sharp against the cold alien light. Behind her, a mechanical aide floated silently, an orb no larger than a melon, humming softly. The air was thick with whispers in 100 tongues. "She came alone?" hissed the scaled delegate from the Averin Dominion. His tongue flickered irritably. Primitive mammals. Always so dramatic. Evelyn paused halfway to the central dais, her heels echoing faintly in the vast hall. She smiled without warmth. "Oh, not alone," she said lightly. "I brought tea. You'd be surprised how many problems in the universe can be solved with a proper kettle." A ripple of uneasy laughter drifted through the chamber. A few of the smaller species tittered. Most didn't. The High Consul of the Empire, a towering insectoid named Vrital, tilted its angular head. "Tea? The human ambassador brings liquid leaves to a summit of empires." "Steeped leaves," Evelyn corrected softly. "There's a difference. Timing, temperature, patience, the same ingredients that make a good treaty." Vrital clicked its mandibles in irritation. "We were promised a representative of the human coalition. Not a cook." Evelyn set the porcelain cup on the table before her, letting the steam curl between them. "You'll find humanity has a long history of multitasking," she said, tone gentle but the air sharp with something unspoken. The council chamber shimmered with holographic banners, thousands of colors and sigils in constant flux. The Empire had ruled for 2 centuries without question. Humanity, a young species, was a curiosity, barely out of its home system, armed with optimism and caffeine. The galaxy saw them as charming, reckless, and harmless. Vrital leaned forward, eyes glittering like obsidian. "Ambassador Carter, the Empire's patience is finite. Earth's mining fleets have entered restricted neutral sectors. You will withdraw, or the Empire will, how do you say, teach discipline." Evelyn folded her hands. "Oh, that's the word you used the last time someone disagreed with you, isn't it?" A murmur spread. "She refers to the Tlon War," someone whispered. "No one survived that rebellion." "Yes," Evelyn said brightly. "And yet, they did make a fine sculpture park out of your capital. Very inspiring." The Averin delegate slammed a claw on the table. "Are you threatening the Empire?" Evelyn's eyes softened. "Of course not. I'm British American. We just remind people." Some of the younger species laughed again, more nervously this time. Her small mechanical aide chimed quietly. "Ambassador," it murmured in English through her earpiece. "Satellite feed indicates 12 dreadnoughts in orbit. Imperial fleet maneuvering to flank." "Of course they are," she whispered back. "They always do when they think we're polite." Vrital's thorax flared. "We are not amused by your insolence. The Empire tolerates no." She lifted a finger, cutting him off with the same calm authority as someone silencing a child mid-tantrum. "Do you know what's fascinating about humanity?" she asked. "Everyone thinks we fear war. But we don't. We fear boredom. And we get creative when people try to make us interesting." The chamber fell quiet. Even the hum of translation drones seemed to fade. Evelyn reached for her tea, taking a slow sip as if the room were not filled with armed alien generals studying her pulse rate. The Imperial General, Lord Kryrax, spoke for the first time. His voice was like steel scraping glass. "You presume much, human. You come here under the banner of peace, yet speak as if you command armies." She met his gaze. "I command nothing," she said softly. "But I do represent 7 billion people who don't take well to unprovoked hostility. And the last time someone underestimated them, we named the crater after the guy." His mandibles twitched in irritation. You insult the Empire. Evelyn smiled kindly. No. I'm insulting you personally. The Empire, at least, knows how to read history. For a long moment, silence held. Then laughter, forced and brittle, spread from the back rows. Some aliens smirked, others pretended not to hear. Kryrax's claw tapped once on the table, a sharp metallic sound that echoed through the chamber. He leaned closer. You will regret this conversation, human. She leaned just as close, eyes calm, voice almost tender. Then it's already more interesting than most of my Mondays. The High Consul banged a gavel-like appendage. Enough. This meeting is adjourned. Humanity will present reparations for trespassing Imperial space, or face immediate disciplinary action. Evelyn rose smoothly. Of course, she said with practiced diplomacy. I'll have the paperwork ready by morning. When she turned to leave, her lips barely moved. Transmit everything to Fleet Command. They'll take it from here. Outside the Grand Chamber, corridors of blue crystal stretched endlessly. Her aide hovered beside her. Ambassador, their warships are locking targeting arrays. Should we signal evacuation? She paused by a panoramic viewport. Below, the Imperial Armada glittered like a crown of knives around the gas giant. Her reflection stared back at her, composed, faintly smiling, eyes unreadable. No, she murmured. Let them fire. They'll think they've won. That's when they talk the most. Her aide hesitated. Understood, ma'am. Initiating passive decoy protocols. Evelyn exhaled slowly. For a moment, she looked tired. Not fragile, but heavy with the weight of knowing too much. Then she straightened her jacket and walked toward the shuttle bay. At the airlock, an alien attendant bowed stiffly, avoiding her gaze. Ambassador Carter, may the stars forgive what happens next. Evelyn smiled faintly. Oh, they won't forgive me. They'll name laws after me. The doors hissed shut behind her. The shuttle lifted from the docking ring, angling toward the void. The alien fleet repositioned, forming a net of energy signatures. Every gun aimed at the small, unarmed vessel. She watched them on the screen serene. Do you know the funny thing about peace treaties? She murmured to her AI. Humans keep them? She shook her head, eyes glinting. We write them in pencil. Outside, the first energy lance flared across the darkness, searing through the shuttle's path. The impact blossomed in silence, a flash of white light scattering through the gas giant's upper storms. The Imperial fleet recorded the destruction, archived the data, and reported. Target eliminated. In the command hall of the Empire's flagship, General Kryrax turned away, triumphant. But in the wreckage's lingering cloud of plasma, a faint pulse blinked 3 times, then vanished. Far above the gas giant's shadow, a cloaked vessel shimmered into being for half a second. Inside, Evelyn Carter set down her teacup, steam curling around her face like smoke. Now, she whispered, voice almost tender. Let's see who breaks the treaty first. The ship faded from sight, leaving only the echo of her call sign encrypted in the Imperial channels. Alibaba Yaga, active. The Empire celebrated too soon. Broadcasts across the spiral arms displayed shimmering footage of a human vessel reduced to vapor. The commentators called it justice, the end of a brief and noisy experiment in diplomacy. On planets whose skies glowed green and crimson, crowds cheered at the idea of peace restored. Peace built on one more burned species. But the universe was quieter than it should have been. Static crawled through the Imperial communications web, faint distortions rippling across data streams. Somewhere in the black, a heartbeat pulsed where nothing living should have been. Evelyn Carter sat inside a dim cabin bathed in the soft amber of emergency lights. Her teacup rested on the console beside her, the surface trembling with the rhythm of distant explosions. The Lexington's cloak shimmered against the electromagnetic fury outside. They were hidden, but barely. She stirred her tea absently, eyes fixed on the holographic map of enemy movements. They took the bait, her AI reported. The voice was calm, masculine, with the mild boredom of a veteran chess player watching an amateur's opening blunder. Fleet positioning confirms pursuit vectors. They think you're dead. Good, she murmured. Nothing motivates bureaucrats like a ghost. The Lexington sensors displayed the enemy formation, 12 Imperial dreadnoughts weaving in perfect symmetry. Their discipline was almost beautiful. She admired it in the way one admires a predator unaware of the snare already set. In the Empire's war room, Lord Kryrax stood before a panoramic display showing human space as a thin smear of blue light. "All colonies will be dismantled," he declared. "The species will be disarmed and contained. Their experiment with diplomacy is over." He did not notice that one of the Admiralty officers at the back, an avian scholar named Threnal, was trembling. "General," Threnal began quietly, "the last transmission from the human envoy, there was something odd." Kryrax turned, claws clicking. "Explain," she said. "Protocol 12. That code appears nowhere in our intelligence records. But within 6 minutes of the broadcast, 47 minor networks went dark." Kryrax hissed, dismissive. "Coincidence?" "Perhaps," Threnal said softly. "Or perhaps a countdown." The general waved him away. "They lack the technology for interstellar sabotage. Their ships burn chemical propellants. They still use wheels." Threnal said nothing, though the data flickered on his wrist slate, electrical storms blooming along every relay near human borders. Back aboard the Lexington, Evelyn leaned back, the faintest smile tugging at her lips. "Did you hear that?" she said. The AI chuckled. "He's quoting the same report they laughed at when we landed on Titan. I think he'll enjoy the sequel." Evelyn adjusted her jacket, straightened her cuffs. "Activate the chorus." A hum filled the air as her command rippled outward. Signals splitting, replicating, folding into themselves like origami. Every human listening post, satellite, and drone scattered across deep space began to sing in synchronized code. To the Empire it looked like background noise, until the harmonics aligned and a voice emerged across every frequency in the galactic spectrum. "This is Ambassador Carter of the Human Coalition. You fired upon a diplomat under treaty protection. You have violated the Celestial Accord. Protocol 12 is now active." Millions of beings across the Empire heard the same calm voice threading through static. Her tone was courteous, deliberate, like someone reading an obituary aloud. "Shut it down," Kryrax ordered. "We can't," his technicians cried. "The signal's recursive, it's bouncing through our own relay network." On barren moons and gas-rich colonies, holoscreens flickered to life, showing human faces. Miners, engineers, children waving at cameras centuries old. Each face smiled, then vanished into static, leaving behind the same coded signature. A spiral of 12 dots forming an ancient Earth symbol for storm. Evelyn's AI reported. "All points synchronized. Drone fleets awaiting signal." She exhaled. "Hold them. Let them sweat first." The Empire's propaganda channels went into overdrive, assuring citizens that the human broadcast was a trick. But their reassurances faltered when the first dreadnought lost power mid-orbit, drifting helplessly toward the atmosphere of a nearby moon. Then a second. Then a third. In the Imperial Command Hall, alarms shrieked. Kryrax slammed a claw against the console. "Find her ship," Threnal whispered. "You can't find a ghost, sir. You can only wait for the haunting." Kryrax spun on him, furious, but stopped when every screen in the hall went black. Evelyn's face appeared, calm and haloed by the faint steam of her tea. "You shouldn't have interrupted my drink," she said. "Humans don't like cold tea." The dreadnought's targeting systems erupted in sparks. Magnetic feedback cascaded through their weapon arrays. Crews screamed as power conduits flared. Evelyn watched quietly, her eyes reflecting the silent blossoms of light as one ship after another fell dark. Her AI murmured, "6 ships disabled. 4 retreating. 2 remain." "Leave them," she said. "Someone needs to tell the story." For a moment, the stars seemed to hold their breath. The human fleet remained unseen, shadows folded behind distortion fields. No one knew where they came from or how many there were. Rumors spread faster than truth ever could. That Earth had forged alliances with machines, that they'd weaponized diplomacy, that their envoy was not a woman, but a weapon disguised in flesh. Evelyn listened to the rising panic in intercepted transmissions. Her voice softened. "Fear spreads faster than fire," she said. "Let it burn." The AI hesitated. "Would you like me to prepare message too?" "Yes," she said. "But keep the tone civil. We're still pretending this is diplomacy." On every surviving Imperial channel, a new message appeared, just 6 words. "Peace is preferable, but optional now." The Empire's communication grid fractured completely. Star systems lost contact. Trade routes froze. Panic rippled through the civilian networks. Yet in the calm heart of it all, Evelyn sat sipping tea, as if watching rain fall on a distant world. Her aide's voice broke the silence. "Ambassador, Fleet Command requests status confirmation for Operation Matryoshka." "Authorization Carter 7, she replied. "But don't deploy yet. Let them feel the silence." In the command hall of the Imperial Fleet, the generals argued, voices rising in panic. Some demanded counterattack, others surrender. Vrital's mandibles trembled. They were supposed to be primitive. Kryrax roared, "Find the human." Across the void, Evelyn's ship floated invisible. Her eyes drifted toward the gas giant below, storms swirling like blue ink. She thought of home, the smell of London rain, the laughter in Washington streets, the strange resilience of people who smiled in the dark. "Funny," she said softly. "They still think this is about revenge." Her AI paused. "Isn't it?" Evelyn's smile faded into something colder. "No. It's about education." The ship's sensors caught movement, small Imperial interceptors combing the upper atmosphere, desperate to find the phantom that humiliated them. "Should I engage stealth countermeasures?" the AI asked. "Not yet," she said. "Let them come closer. I want them to see my face before they understand what they started." The nearest interceptor locked its scanners. For a brief instant, its pilot saw a flicker in the void, a silhouette outlined by stormlight. Human eyes staring back. The feed cut to static. Evelyn took one last sip of tea, the porcelain cup trembling faintly in her hand. Her reflection on its surface was split by the swirling blue of the storm below. "Open a channel," she whispered. "To whom?" Her smile was almost kind. "Everyone." Static deepened into silence, then the transmission began, her voice reaching across the Empire, soft and final. "You've made contact with Baba Yaga." The galaxy trembled in the aftermath. Whole star systems that once swore loyalty to the Empire now whispered new words: fear, curiosity, disbelief. The humans, they said, had awakened something old. Something that smiled before it struck. In taverns on moon colonies, alien soldiers traded rumors. The human envoy who returned from the dead, the diplomat who spoke like a poet and killed like a god. They began to call her by the name she had whispered herself: Baba Yaga. Evelyn watched it unfold from the Lexington's command deck, the holographic feeds reflecting off her eyes. Each pulse of blue light represented another disrupted relay, another failed countermeasure, another empire unraveling itself. The quiet hum of the ship's engines was steady, like the heartbeat of something patient and alive. Her AI companion floated beside her, projecting reports into the air. "Empire's propaganda is collapsing," it said. "Half their outer sectors have declared neutrality. The rest are confused." Evelyn took a sip of tea, eyes on the projection of a burning starport. "Confusion is the first stage of surrender," she murmured. "The second is regret. We'll give them both." The AI hesitated, flickering faintly. "You sound disappointed." She smiled without mirth. "Disappointed? No. Just tired of cleaning up other people's arrogance." Across the void, within the capital fortress of the Empire, Lord Kryrax stared at the wreckage of his fleet. His claws dug furrows into the metal table. "She should have been destroyed," he hissed. "No human vessel can cloak from our scanners." A trembling technician spoke up. "Perhaps it's not a cloak, my lord. Perhaps it's something else. A mimicry field. They blend into gravitational shadows." "Mimicry?" Kryrax spat the word. Like vermin hiding in walls. Or like predators, my lord, murmured Threnal, the avian scholar. Predators that learned from ours. Silence fell. The realization settled like frost. Back on the Lexington, Evelyn walked the narrow observation corridor, where starlight streamed through slits in the hull. For a fleeting second, she felt the vastness of what they had done. The hum of millions of lives terrified by her voice, the weight of invisible wars waged with code and whispers. She stopped by the window, placing her palm against the glass. "We didn't want this," she said softly. "But they made it inevitable." "History will call it justice," the AI replied. "History never saw the bodies," she whispered. Her mind drifted to the past, to the dusty conference rooms on Earth where treaties were drafted and broken in the same afternoon, to the photographs of colonies erased by alien discipline. She had been a diplomat once, truly believing peace could be engineered like architecture, foundation by foundation, careful and slow. But every time humanity built, someone stronger came to break it. So she learned to build differently. Not bridges. Traps. "Do you remember what they called me back then?" she asked. "Yes," said the AI. "The Velvet Executioner." A quiet chuckle escaped her. "How sentimental." The ship's sensors flickered. Incoming transmission. Open frequency. Origin. Galactic High Council. "Put them through." The hologram bloomed to life, revealing the council chamber where she had once stood as a guest. Now it was nearly empty. The High Consul's once golden carapace looked dull under emergency lights. "Ambassador Carter," it began, voice trembling. "This escalation is regrettable. The Empire has acted rashly. We wish to restore." She interrupted gently. "Restore what? The illusion that you're in control? You fired first. You declared us unworthy of civilization. You don't get to change the rules mid-game." "Please," the consul said, mandibles twitching. "Millions will die if this continues." "Then stop continuing it." He tried again. "You are not behaving as a diplomat." Evelyn tilted her head. "No," she said quietly. "I'm behaving as a survivor." The hologram flickered as the consul hesitated. "You've become what your kind feared most, a monster among stars." She smiled faintly. "And yet, you called me here to negotiate." The connection cut abruptly. The chamber went dark again. The AI hummed. "They are frightened. But not enough." "Not yet," she agreed. "Begin Operation Matryoshka." The code unlocked across her console like unfolding petals. The ship's hum deepened, a vibration that rippled through every circuit. In distant sectors, human aid convoys transformed, containers splitting open to reveal hidden drone fleets. They had been delivering food, medicine, textbooks. Inside each crate waited dormant systems, tiny and patient, carrying algorithms designed to rewrite entire networks. "Nested dolls," the AI murmured. "Each kindness hides a weapon." "Every war hides a lesson," Evelyn replied. "They taught us to survive. We taught ourselves to adapt." Reports flooded in. Imperial communication hubs failed one by one. Trade routes tangled under false coordinates. Even navigational stars went dark as human satellites released bursts of radiation interference. The Empire, once a structure of order and terror, now resembled a body whose nerves had been severed. In the capital, Kryrax roared, smashing consoles as his generals pleaded for guidance. "This is witchcraft!" He howled. Threnal stepped forward, his feathers slick with fear. "No, my lord. This is mathematics. This is human patience." Kryrax seized him by the throat. "You speak like you admire them." "I do," the scholar gasped. "Because they've become what we warned our children about." The general hurled him aside, trembling not with rage now, but the edge of dawning horror. On the Lexington, Evelyn listened to intercepted transmissions. Voices of panic, disbelief and awe. "She's not human," one alien captain whispered over an open line. "She's a concept." "Close enough," she said softly. The AI paused. They're calling you by the name again. Baba Yaga? Yes. They've even written songs. Children are singing them. Evelyn's gaze drifted to the storm beyond the viewport, a maelstrom of blue lightning curling through the gas giant's clouds. Good. Fear travels faster through stories than fleets. Some would call this cruelty. She turned, eyes calm, voice almost tender. It's not cruelty. It's education. We tried words first. Now we speak in consequences. A tremor ran through the ship as a transmission bypassed their encryption, an emergency broadcast from the Empire's last surviving council hub. The screen flickered to reveal Kryrax himself, his armor scorched, his pride intact. Human, he rasped. You have won your little game, but the galaxy will never bow to Earth. Evelyn regarded him in silence for a long moment. You misunderstand, she said finally. We don't want the galaxy to bow. We want it to learn how to stand. His eyes narrowed. Then you are no better than us. Her tone cooled to steel. The difference, General, is that when we build empires, we try not to eat the children. Static tore the signal apart. The screen went dark. The AI broke the silence. Phase 2 complete. Do you wish to proceed with final protocol? Evelyn stared at her reflection in the black screen. Half shadow, half light. Not yet. Let them think the storm has passed. What about Earth's orders? She smiled faintly. Earth trusts me to know when Mercy stops teaching. The AI hesitated. You sound like them sometimes. That's the point, she said. In the distance, the wreckage of Imperial ships drifted like silent ghosts around the gas giant. From one shattered hull, a distress beacon flickered, a soundless plea in the void. Evelyn watched it blink and fade, her eyes reflecting the pulse. Do you ever wonder, she asked softly, what will become after all this? The AI responded, almost human now. Yes. But I think the galaxy will wonder first. The silence stretched until only the hum of the engines remained. Then a new signal pierced the quiet, a beacon, not Imperial but human, coming from deep within enemy territory. Evelyn's expression changed. They've activated the fallback. Command Outpost Oberon, the AI confirmed. Transmission code, Red Riding Hood. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Then it's begun. Outside, the Lexington turned slowly toward the dying light of the Empire's capital, its engines igniting with a pale, cold flame. The Lexington drifted through the ruins of the Empire's frontier, like a ghost ship among tombstones. Wreckage spun in slow motion. Burned hulls, fractured engines, drifting bodies in frozen silence. The only sound aboard was the low hum of reactors, and the faint clink of porcelain. Evelyn Carter sat at the command table, steam curling from her teacup, watching the storm of destruction she had unleashed. Her reflection shimmered on the glass. Calm eyes, immaculate suit, the expression of someone who had long stopped mistaking mercy for peace. Her AI's voice interrupted the stillness. Transmission confirmed. Outpost Oberon has engaged the final sequence of Operation Matryoshka. Evelyn didn't look up. How long until the Empire realizes what it means? They already suspect, the AI replied. But understanding comes slower to the proud. She smiled faintly. Then they'll die curious. Across the galaxy, panic rippled through the Empire's high command. Their systems failed in waves, navigation arrays flickered, planetary shields dissolved, entire fleets turned in circles chasing phantom coordinates. The humans had not destroyed their infrastructure. They had rewritten it. Every signal now carried subroutines that bent Imperial code into human logic, a quiet infection that transformed conquest into confusion. In the Imperial capital, Lord Kryrax watched his empire crumble. The once golden city now burned under its own defense turrets. This is impossible, he roared. How can one species undo centuries of order? Threnal, the avian scholar, limped toward him, feathers torn and face streaked with ash. Because they are chaos refined, my lord. They study madness the way we study law. Enough of your riddles. Kryrax hissed. Tell me where she is. Threnal's trembling talon pointed toward the main holo display. It showed the human ship approaching through the smoldering debris field. "She's coming here," he whispered. "She wants you to see her victory." Kryrax straightened, pride flaring through the fear. "Then let her come. I will face her myself." The Lexington broke through the cloud of burning satellites. Every Imperial gun that tried to lock on went dead, short-circuited by the virus she had released days ago. Evelyn stood at the viewport, her reflection framed by distant fire. "They're expecting me," she said quietly. The AI responded. Expecting, yes. Prepared, no. As her shuttle detached, the silence felt heavier than the vacuum outside. It wasn't just war anymore, it was judgment. She landed in the heart of the capital, among the ruins of the Senate Plaza, where the Galactic flag once flew. The air shimmered with heat and dust. Alien civilians peered from shattered windows, watching the human who had ended their empire walk across their broken marble like a priestess in mourning. Her boots left prints in ash. Kryrax stood before the fallen obelisk, flanked by guards whose hands trembled on their weapons. His armor was cracked, his mandibles blackened with soot. "You came alone," he said bitterly. Evelyn met his gaze. "You fired on a diplomat. I thought it only proper to return the courtesy." He snarled. "You've slaughtered millions." She glanced at the burning skyline. "I didn't fire the first shot." He stepped closer, the metal of his boots grinding on the stone. "You claim morality, yet your hands are soaked in blood." Her tone didn't change. "So are yours. The difference is, I remember every face." The wind carried the smell of smoke and ozone. For a long moment, they simply stared at each other. Two predators wearing the mask of civilization. "You could have stopped this," Kryrax said finally, voice cracking. "You could have surrendered." Evelyn tilted her head slightly. "You don't understand humans, General. We don't stop when we're cornered. We become something you can't predict." Kryrax's claws flexed. "You think fear makes you superior?" "No," she said softly. "But it keeps us alive." Behind her, the sky flashed with streaks of silver. Human dropships descending through the atmosphere, not with fire but with precision. They weren't here to conquer. They were here to dismantle. Every Imperial data core, every archive, every weapon facility was being locked and catalogued. Evelyn didn't need to rule. She only needed to make sure they could never rise again. Kryrax realized it then. His empire wasn't being destroyed. It was being rewritten. His soldiers' armor flickered with new insignias. His command network replaced line by line. "You've infected us," he whispered. "You've made us part of your system." Evelyn nodded. "Assimilation through order. It's cleaner than invasion." He staggered back, despair overtaking fury. "What are you?" Her eyes softened, but her voice remained cold. "The product of every civilization that thought peace meant surrender." Hrenal emerged from the shadows, limping toward her. "Ambassador Carter," he said quietly, bowing his head. "You've done what no empire could. You've made fear civilized." Evelyn regarded him, surprised by the honesty in his tone. "You understand, then?" "I do," the scholar said. "But knowledge doesn't save us. It only names our doom." She almost smiled. "Naming is the first step toward remembering. And if you remember, maybe you won't repeat it." The AI's voice came through her earpiece. "Fleet Command requests confirmation. Final stage activation. Operation Matryoshka complete. Shall I transmit the closure code?" Evelyn's gaze drifted over the devastated city. Fires painted the clouds red, and beneath the ruins, survivors huddled in silence. For a moment, she felt the faint tug of pity. Then she exhaled, slow and even. "Transmit," she said. Across the Empire's remaining networks, the signal unfolded. Every machine bearing Imperial code paused, then rebooted under human command. The transition was bloodless, elegant, absolute. Whole star systems fell under a single line of rewritten text. Treaty of Sol, Article 1. Humanity is watching. The wind rose, scattering ash through the plaza. Evelyn turned to leave. Behind her, Kryrax shouted. "You think this makes you gods?" She stopped, her back still to him. "No," she said quietly. "It makes us accountable. That's rarer than divinity." She began walking toward the shuttle, the echo of her steps swallowed by the storm. Around her, the surviving aliens knelt, not in worship, but in acknowledgement. Not of conquest, but consequence. The AI's voice softened. "It's over." Evelyn paused at the ramp, looking once more at the Empire's burning horizon. "Nothing's ever over," she said. "It just changes shape." From the orbit above, human fleets withdrew, their engines glimmering like silent stars. They didn't cheer, didn't broadcast victory hymns. Humanity didn't celebrate survival, it prepared for the next mistake. Inside the shuttle, Evelyn sat once more with her cup of tea. The tremor in her hand was almost invisible. "Do you think they'll learn?" she asked. The AI paused. "Do we ever?" She smiled faintly. "Touché." As the shuttle lifted, her reflection merged with the rising flames below. Somewhere in the static of dying transmissions, voices whispered her name. Part prayer, part warning. Baba Yaga. The Lexington's engines flared, ascending into the silence between stars. On the planet's surface, Lord Kryrax stumbled among the ruins, staring at the words now etched across every surviving screen. Humanity had not conquered them. Humanity had changed the language of war itself. He looked up at the vanishing ship, his voice breaking. "You've cursed the galaxy." High above, in the darkness, Evelyn closed her eyes. "No," she whispered. "We just reminded it what monsters look like when they smile." And for the first time since the war began, she set her tea aside, untouched, cold.